Hey, good morning, my friends. I'm Live Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. I think I got you now. It's Monday. I had a wrong link in there, but let's get to it. I'm gonna talk to you a little bit here while we're waiting for people to come online. And so, a subtle pattern change coming up over the next week to 10 days, really about a week to 10 days out. I'm targeting around October 22nd-ish, a subtle change from still much warmer than normal now. 70 degrees is much warmer than normal. We're going to have some days in the 60s that's still warmer than normal. And eventually, it looks like toward the end of October, we'll have some days with highs in the 50s, probably mid to upper 50s, still warmer than normal at that point. And, I've seen some chatter that there's going to be, significant lake effect snow at the end of October. That is a losing bet, my friends. Don't take that bet. Take the opposite side of that bet with your friends, because remember, I wrote last week that the Great Lakes are at record warm levels, and that's a ton of heat. So when you get a cold air mass that comes down, well, people say, well, cold air mass and warm lakes, that's going to be heavy lake effect snow. It's also going to warm the temperature up 10 or 20 degrees and prevent it. So I'm not saying we can't have a flake of snow somewhere in the north on Halloween. Very classic, about the normal time, but right now everything looks warmer than normal into early November, just bringing it back down from where we're at now. So let's get on into it. We still have to talk about the drought, and there really is nothing that looks like a drought busting pattern. We may be starting to develop that in November, but that's going to be hard. My fear is we are going to go into winter in drought, and if we end up having a dry winter, then we come out of it very dry. Good morning, Tom Ramsey in Freeport. So yeah, it appears to be working somewhat. All right, so there's your showers off to the west. So they come into lower Michigan, right? Remember, drought. Drought eats away at these weak types of precipitation. So bear with me a second here. I just nuked the radar forecast, so I got to go back to it. Hold on just a second. Again, it's Monday, so thank you for bearing with me here. The rain should be drying up, really. You could have a few, 15-minute showers in northwest lower Michigan. Here's that radar forecast. Noon today, 1 o'clock. So it's not real wet at all. There's a couple of spotty showers. Good morning to Todd Nordoff, Lisa Collins. Good morning, Deb Locke. So this is 6 p.m., 7 p.m. this evening. So in the evening, Traverse City area, Frankfort, Manistee, Ludington, up through the bridge could have some spotty showers. Ann Arbor, Grand Rapids, Lansing, Saginaw, Flint, Jackson, Detroit area, Thumb, nothing. And then we go into tomorrow. This is 8, 9, 10, and tomorrow looks dry too. Now you see 4 p.m. tomorrow, some spotty showers starting to show up. And that is the shower activity that we could have on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Okay, so let's look first off at the subtle pattern change. So what we've had so far, by the way, thanks for joining me. What we've had, Richard Lacoste, good morning, Mason. What we've had in the last month in general is one of these big, I call them N-shaped humps. That's a ridge. Underneath that, the air circulates clockwise and it sinks, and it's a warm, dry pattern. Now it appears as though finally, which is pretty typical in the late fall, finally the storm systems are going to start to track farther and farther south out in the Pacific and try to bust down that ridge. So that's what you're going to see in what I'm calling a subtle pattern change that'll take us out of highs in the 70s, still very warm for this time of the year, and bring us to highs highs in the 50s and 60s. Let me grab the latest two for you here. Okay, here we go. All right, so see the ridge over us? This is the forecast for Tuesday and for Wednesday. It's still hot just to our south, central southern plains. And here's Wednesday, and that's not a wet pattern, so Wednesday's rain is going to have a real tough time holding together. Now we get to Friday and Saturday. There's a storm busting down the ridge out in the Dakotas. This is Saturday. That's a warm pattern right there. So ahead of the bend, the U-shaped bend, that's where the trough is. That's where rain would be. Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, coming into Wisconsin. And we would be warm ahead of it. So you'll see a forecast for Saturday, very warm. And then this is Sunday, midday. And that says that that's a sizable storm that moves through, moves in, moves out. It's a 6-hour rain. There you see it right there. And then by Tuesday, October 21st, look what happens. The ridge comes back. And most models, all models show it. But also notice that out to the west, the ISO heights, the atmosphere is compressed and compact together. That means the storms are going to start to spew in with greater speed. This is the 24th, October 24th, and it's a different pattern. It's not a cold pattern, but it's a different pattern. And once that moves off, October 26th and 27th, we warm back up, but not as warm as we were, and more storm systems off to the west. So it's really just a gradual pattern change. Now, here's the European model on the rainfall forecast. We're going to call today dry for most of us, tomorrow dry, and then remember on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, there could be some 2/10 of an inch showers in a very short time period. And then Thursday looks dry. And as we get toward the weekend, a little more showery. Saturday, that's Saturday midday. If this were to work out, we could be in the warm sector ahead of the cold front. We could be 70s. I'll show you the model indicates even maybe 80, but I would plan on 70s. And then the system comes through with some rain on Saturday night, Sunday, into early Monday, and off to the east. So that's a good chance of at least some meaningful rain. And this is that same model forecasting the rain. So let's go to Tuesday night. Lower Michigan is dry. Let's go to Wednesday midday. A couple of places get 1/10 or 2/10 of an inch from Manistee, Muskegon, over to Saginaw and into the Thumb. And then let's run it through the Sunday, Monday rain. And you can see many of us get a 1/2 inch to an inch or more. And I would agree with that. So that's a worthwhile type rain. Now, let's watch the temperatures. And bear in mind that our normal high now is in the 50s to 60-ish degrees. So 70, 71, 72 today, that's warm for everybody. Tuesday, 70 in the south, upper 60s, Grand Rapids to Saginaw, and then you get to the north, you get to Traverse City, high of 58 to 60. Still fairly mild for this time of the year, certainly not cold. Here's Wednesday in the low 60s, upper 50s. Here's Thursday. We start the warming trend ahead of the cold front. So it's going to be a very weather story book type pattern as we go to the 60s. And then Friday we start to warm up to head towards 70 degrees. And then this is Saturday, depending on where the cold front is. We're in a southwest flow. We're warming up. This could be overdone, but we might be 70 to 75 degrees on Saturday ahead of the showers. Sunday, showery, cooler air starting to move in. Then this would be behind the system in the quote-unquote cold air. Highs in the upper 50s. That means lows 35 to 40. Still nothing extreme. And look, that was Monday. This is Tuesday, October 21st. It lasts a day, and then we're back to the 70s on the 22nd, and behind it we're back to cooler weather. You know, we get out to Monday the 27th, we're still in the 60s in the south, and we're in the 50s in the north, maybe some highs in the 40s in the UP. Starting to cool down, yes, but nothing that is extremely bizarre. So there you have it. We'll continue to watch. What would be interesting is if that jet stream continues to stay strong and continues to move southward, that would tell me that in November we could actually get into some worthwhile rain systems. Can I go off just for a second here and give you a bonus rant from a meteorologist of 36 years? I'll let you in a little secret because you're joining me now. We got 36 of us. Deb Locke, thank you. So here's the little secret. You know how magicians don't like it when they show those, they used to show those shows on TV of how a magician does their trick. They don't like that. I'm going to give you the big meteorological secret right here and right now. 90% of meteorologists and almost 100% of fake meteorologists, a lot of them nowadays, whether I don't know what you'd call them, weather enthusiasts, all post a winter forecast, and guess what it is? It's colder and snowier than ever before. And guess what? That is a losing bet, my friends. The globe is warmer. The oceans are warmer. Polar regions are warming. It does not mean that we can't have snow and some cold. But it means the days of a 1976-77 type winter of turning cold in November, staying cold through December, January, February, March, and into early April, having snowstorms all the time, a losing bet. What's the cold? Hey, and I can make a prediction too. What's the cold and flu season going to be like this year? We'll hear the news story here in the next week. The CDC predicts the cold and flu season is going to be the worst ever, right? And is it? So guess what the Farmer's Almanac has? And guess what AccuWeather always has? They always have these blobs that say cold and snowy. Yes, we will have some cold, we will have some snow this winter. At the moment, guess what? The best weather forecasting technique I was taught in college is still very good. Our professor walked in. It wasn't high-tech back then. It was becoming high-tech, in the 80s. He walked in from the Air Force and from one of the first offices in what they called the Weather Bureau after World War II, National Weather Service. And he said, well, we're going to learn about long-range forecasting today, and the best thing I can tell you is the best forecasting technique is persistence. You know what persistence means? What's been happening will likely continue. So if we're in a warm pattern, and it continues to be a stubbornly warm pattern, chances are we continue for a warm pattern. We do know that the weather patterns change, so that doesn't really cover us. That's a really cop-out. It does change, but it's a persistently warm pattern. Why? Well, because the oceans are a lot warmer, and the cold pools aloft are a lot warmer, and the ground here is warmer, and the Great Lakes are at record warmth levels for this date, back to 30 years. Yes, I know someone's going to come in and, well, you know what? In 1500, there are records that the Lake Michigan froze on October 25th, so this isn't the coldest, the warmest ever, or whatever. Like, okay. That's the stuff I have to deal with. That's secret number 2 in meteorology. We don't get paid a whole lot to give you the forecast. We get paid mostly to put up with the abuse and the, sorry to say it, the dumb comments from some. But I do appreciate you. Let's see if I went off and I really offended people. Let's see. Carter Collier wants me to rant away. Deb Locke, you're so right. Richard Lacasse. So let's put it in perspective. There are times when we can say there's a strong El Nino and there is a 70% chance that our winter in Michigan is going to be quite a bit warmer than normal and quite a bit less snowier than normal. We've had that, a couple of years ago. We warned you, this probably is not going to be much of a winter at all. And guess what? We nailed it. The La Nina is a little more iffy. And people want to, again, weather enthusiasts and storm alarmists want to go the opposite way. Oh, strong La Nina, it's going to be opposite, cold and snowy. It's not that clear with the La Nina. We're going to have a weak one. And so they'll come in, the storm enthusiasts will come in and say, weak La Nina says that the jet stream is going to be weak and cold air can dislodge and come into Michigan. And that's totally true. But again, working in a warmer globe. So, and then I'm stuck. Right now, I'm stuck because somebody's going to say, oh, no winter. I didn't say that. Also, hey, since I'm ranting, you're on here, I'm going to continue to rant. Here's the other thing. This is the question I get. Hey, Mark, is it going to be a bad winter? What's a bad winter? Where are you from? Oh, I moved here from North Dakota, and I'm wondering if it's going to be a bad winter. Well, I can tell you probably a bad winter in Michigan is probably a mild winter in North Dakota. Or where'd you move from? I moved here from Atlanta. Well, no, we're only going to have, we're going to have less snow than normal, and it's going to be warmer than normal. You get to them in the spring. I thought you said it wasn't going to be bad. I was shoveling 1 and 2 inches like here and there 5 times this winter. So I first have to quantify. I actually have to go through to science-ize this, if that's actually a word. I have to go through and quantify what is a bad winter to the average Michigander. So, boy, I feel a lot better. Thank you. I lost almost everybody except the 24 people that wanted to hear a rant. There it was. Enjoy the week. Warmer than normal. A lot of 60s, a lot of 70s. Not much rain until about Sunday, and we'll take it from there. Thank you for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update. I'm MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. I apologize for the rant, but hopefully some of you enjoyed it. And hopefully I still have a job tomorrow. I will. Take care.